Hello and welcome to My Retro Watches. My name is Mike and this video is part 2 of the Seiko 7S26 movement assembly. What you can see in front of you here is the components that we're going to be fitting in this video, and in the next photo now these are all the tools that we're going to be using. At this point as well, I need to clear up another mistake, should I say, that I made in part 1. Some of you eagle-eyed guys out there pointed it out pretty quickly when I uploaded the video, and that is the little gold coloured gear that you can see in the photo now. I'd actually put in the wrong way round. Now, my excuse for that, of course, was that I did it with my naked eye and I didn't use any magnification, but I need to correct it. So the photo you can see now is the part turned the right way round, where it will now engage with the clutch. Okay, we're looking at it from the opposite side of the main plate. However, that is the way it should go in. So if you're following in on part 1, then you need to watch part 2 to correct the mistake. So without further ado, let's crack on with the rest of the video. Okay then, so now I've got all the mistakes out of the way. We're now looking at the calendar work side. You'll notice that I've put the movement ring back on, the plastic ring. I thought I'd do that off camera. It's pretty straightforward. If you do get confused with it, you've got these are where the dial feet go, actually, these two holes here. So you just line those up when you put the shroud on, and very straightforward to fit. So before I start putting any of the components on this side, we've got to do some oiling. So I've got to oil some of the jewels here for the pivots, and before we can put the cannon pinion on, I've got to put some oil on there too. So I'm going to go over to the microscope and I'm going to show you where I put the oil. Okay, here we are on the scope, and what you can see in front of you is this jewel here, and that one is the jewel. I'm trying to get it into focus for you. My eyes are completely different, unfortunately, to the camera, so I do suffer. It's either blurry for you or it's blurry for me. But anyway, this is the jewel for the pallet, and that's the one you don't want to oil at all. Okay, but we want to oil all the other ones. So the one next to it here and this one here, we're going to put some Mobius D5 on here for where the cannon pinion goes. We want to put some on the jewel and a little bit on the side there. And then this like button shape, that's actually the bottom of the barrel. It's worth just dropping a little drop in there. So there's like 4, trying to count now, 1 2 3 4, well 1 2 3 jewels there, that and that. So hopefully you've got that. So everything else is going to be Mobius 9010, with the exception of the cannon pinion, which I'm going to put some D5 on. So perhaps we'll start with the cannon pinion. And I'm just using my black oiler, and I'll try and see if I can get it in focus. So I'm going to put a little bit on the side, and I like to put a little bit on the bottom. I've found it before, sometimes on vintage watches, where you try to wind the crown when it's running and it's quite stiff, and that's generally because there's not a lot of oil on the cannon pinion or on the jewel underneath. So I'm sorry again, this is trying to lose focus every single time, so please bear with me. So the next one's to do, like I say, don't do the pallet there, but we'll try and do these ones next to it. And again, I can't wear my glasses on the microscope, unfortunately, so if it is blurry, we're going to have to live with it a little bit. So there's those two done. And we'll move over to this one. I'm just trying to see if that's in focus for you guys. It's not for me. Okay, and then the barrel. Right, so that is the oiling complete on the dual side. We will also have to put some on this little button here, which is where the minute wheel goes. I normally do this a bit later on, but I'll just put a little drop there now while the camera's all set up. So the idea is just to put a little tiny bit on the side there, like so. Hopefully that's come out all right on camera. I don't want to end up doing lots of different takes. So hopefully you've seen that. That's where you've got to oil. Now we're going to go back onto the bench and we'll start putting the components on. So here we go on the component side. So the first thing to fit is the cannon pinion, and all you want to do with that is not drop it like I've done. So you need to be very careful how you put it over the second. Well, it's not the second wheel, is it? But it's the pinion for the second wheel. So you put it over the top, put your tweezers around it, and push down, and you will hear a click. Or on this one, typically you don't hear a click, but you know when it's down, you can see that it should be nice and flush with the bottom there. Okay. The next is the minute wheel. The minute wheel is here. It's got a little gear on the top, and that's going to sit on there. And then you want to make sure that it's meshing with the cannon pinion, or else that will cause you trouble a little bit later on. So always check that first. So next up is the date driving wheel. It drives the date and the day wheels, which is there, and that will just fit back into its hole there. Quite straightforward. And then it's the little intermediate wheel, little nylon wheel, and it's got 2 gears on one side. Excuse the state of my finger cuts, these were brand new on just a couple of minutes ago. So you want to put it down that side so that the bottom gear is down, and it just needs to sit on this little pivot here. And again, you can just sort of make out that it's meshed quite nicely there. You don't bother oiling these. It's plastic. Plastic is theory is it's self-lubricating, so it doesn't need any lubrication there. Okay, so we're on to the next part now. So next up is going to be the hour wheel, and that sits over the cannon pinion like so. And then we need one of the next nylon wheel, which is part of the quick set, and it's got a little lug on the bottom, and that just fits into the slot there, like so. Then we need the date disc, which will fit on like so, and then it'll be the first of the sort of guards, if you like. So the next part is this. It's a bit tricky at times. You've got to line this hole up with this pin, and this top hole with that pin, and you need to make sure that your date jumper is out the way, so it's all the little fingers are tucked away. Now we're just going to drop that on to that pin like so. I'm just going to try and secure it a little bit with pegwood. Like so. Okay, as you can see, it's a little bit fiddly. My favourite word, fiddly. So then you want to get the guard on. This is quite straightforward. It's got a little gear there which is going to go with the crown, and we're just going to place that on. And then we've got the 3 screws and the little screw to fit. Okay, as if by magic, all the screws are back in their positions. Pretty straightforward. The little crosshead one goes there and the other 3 are respective there. I figured I'd do that rather than you looking at my fingers while I screwed them in and waste your time. So the next part is the quick set driving wheel for the quick set of the day wheel. And this has got to go in the right way. So you can see there it's got one sort of dot, if you like, on the top. On the opposite side, can you get it focused? There's 4. So they've got to go down. So you have the one side, one dot up. There we go. If you put it the other side, it's not gonna work. Okay. So then we just need to bring in the day disc, fit that over the top, and I'm just going to spin it around slightly to engage, like so. And then all we've got to do is fit the C-clip, and I'm going to try and bring the C-clip in here. So there's a sort of recess on it one side around the edge, and on the other side there isn't. So you put the recess down, and that enables the next person who is going to service the watch to be able to pry it back up again easily. So that just goes over there, and we're just going to get the tweezers, push down till we hear the click, and just double check. Yep. So now all we have to do is to make sure that they work correctly, which they do there. And then again, if we wound that through 24, we should see it click, because they do work on a different, there we go, they do work on a different mechanism. So there we have it. Right, I've taken the movement out of the movement holder and put it on my little cushion, because it's now time to fit the dial. The dial is just a friction fit, so it's got 2 feet on the dial, and the feet are, let me show you, these 2 little things that stick up at the bottom, and they just push in to this hole and this hole. And you've got to remember on this one that the crown is at 4 o'clock, so that kind of gives you an idea of where they've got to be. It's quite straightforward. Line it up a little bit. I'll just give it a little bit of a press, and you'll see now that that's on as it should be. So now what we're going to do is fit the hands. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do to fit the hands is wind the watch movement until we see the date wheel click over. So there we go. So once that clicks over, that's now where we want to put the hour hand on. So I'm just going to get the hour hand, bring it in, fit it over the post and line it up. Once you're happy where it's lined up, use your hand press tool to fasten securely, and then you want to look at it from different angles to see if it's parallel or whether it's sitting slightly off center, which mine is just a touch, and that will prevent the hands from fouling one another when you fit the minute hand. So we should now be able to check that again. It just changed a little bit early, but we'll see. You can play around with it for hours, trying to get the hours, the time to change right on 12. So just bring in the hour, the minute hand, and basically repeat the same procedure. I've always got my excuse. And my excuse is the camera is still in my way. So please forgive me. As I say in a lot of my videos, I am not a professional at all, far from it. I just like to tinker, should we say, and show you that it's possible to do it as well. So I want to just check the same again, make sure the hands aren't touching anywhere, and that it's sitting on how I want it to be. And then we should be able to again wind this through 24 hours and get it changing somewhere near 12. So hopefully I've got it right. So it's a few minutes too, isn't it? So it's pretty good going, I think. Now what we've got to do is fit the second hand. Second hand, sometimes for people is quite difficult. I tend to find that if you get it somewhere near the hole, you can get a good chance that, and it's ticking again. You can use your hand press here, watch press, there we are, just to and it's fouling, so there we are. Even I've got that wrong. So we just need to give it a tweak, and then we can check this way, make sure the second hand is not going to stop every time it reaches the minute hand. So again, just double check there now. As long as it clears it, I'm happy. And once again, it doesn't. Rather embarrassing. And I'll tell you why. That will be because the the minute hand is probably just sticking up a little bit proud. So it's good to show you these things. So you can just see it there. So with me trying to film it, I've not noticed that until now. So again, I'm just going to bring that down. Okay, I think you can see that, guys. Looks a bit better now, doesn't it? So repeat the procedure again to put the minute hand on. To which I'm having a lot of trouble with. And you know, normally for me, the second hand is never a problem. Okay, let's just start again with that, shall we? Hopefully you can forgive me of this, guys. There. Sometimes it's better just to take it off and start again. And then hopefully we should have plenty of clearance, which I think we have there now. Okay, so there's not much left to do. I've got to put the movement into the case. I need to fit the reduction wheel again, line up the oscillating weight. Then I'm going to regulate it, and I'll show you it on the timographer when I've regulated it, and we'll see how good it's going to be running. Okay, fitting the movement back into the case was straightforward. I don't think you need to see that. It just slots straight in. And then I've put the crown in for the time being. So I need to fit the production wheel here. And I would have normally done this quite a while ago, but it was just the way I've split up the two videos. I wanted to do the motion side and then the calendar works. And so I left this bit out. So the first thing to do is just put a bit of D5 Mobius oil just here on the where the wheel pivots. It's a high friction area, so you need to make sure we've got some good oil there. And then you want to fit the reduction wheel whilst not trying to pinch any of the pull levers. So once you're happy with it being lined up, bring in the screw, and remember that this screw is left-handed thread, otherwise you won't get it in. Okay, and with that fitted, you can just test it there. Okay, now what we've got to do is fit the rotor. So to fit the rotor, there's one thing we've got to try and do. It is to line up the hole in the reduction wheel like so, with this little brass thing there. So you line those two up, and when you bring in the rotor, and you place it on the middle, as long as those two are lined up there and it's all in a straight line, you should be okay. It's just for optimum winding of the pull levers. In theory, you could put it in anywhere really. It's just that this is the maximum efficiency to get the wind. So again, you can check that, and by checking that, all you want to be doing is turning it and noticing that the click is clicking over. So therefore, at this point, it's done. That is the service of a 7S26 movement. So other than regulating, which I'll do now, and in fact I will do another video at some point on regulating. I think that's an interesting subject on itself. So at this point, all we need to do is regulate, and then I'll put the case back on, and it's done. So the next shot you'll see is the watch itself on the timographer. Okay, we're now back on the bench, and the watch is regulated, and as you can see, it's running plus 10 seconds a day. I think I could tweak that a little bit more. However, I wanted to end this video really, so I'm going to be content with that for the time being. The amplitude has dropped a little bit as well, so there is obviously something I just need to tweak ever so slightly somewhere. But the video was for the assembly, not for problem finding at the moment. Hopefully, guys, you found this video useful. If you have, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below. It does mean a lot. I do read them all, and I try to answer every one of them if I can. If you want to see more, of course, subscribe. please subscribe to the channel and click the bell button, because you'll be alerted to anything that I upload in the future. While I'm at it, why not have a look at my website, www.myretrowatches.com. It's got all my collection on there. It's got some useful links for tools and things as well. And then finally, I created a Facebook group over a year ago now called Retro and Vintage Watches and Restorations, and we are now somewhere in the 5,000 members all over the world, and all watch mad. So why not join the Facebook group as well? So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in a new one very soon.